Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Byjus Exam Prep IAS. Welcome to the Hindu analysis for 1st March 2024. Now, before I begin with the analysis, two important announcements. Number one, tomorrow, as you all know, exactly at 6 p.m., I'm going to conduct a free workshop on the YouTube for how to prepare for the UPSC exam 2025. So what all you should do and you should not do, you will be knowing here tomorrow exactly at 6 p.m. on the same platform. So set a reminder now. We shall meet tomorrow at the same time, 6 p.m. Another announcement, you all know the prelims test series is going on, so you can join that also. You can fill the form which is attached here and join that, or you can even mention in the comment box. Last but not the least, tomorrow the new batch in our Delhi center is beginning in the weekend for economics. So any one of you who wishes to join that, you can inquire for that also. So these are the three important announcements. Now let us see what all articles are we going to cover today. Now 10 articles for the day. Number one, West sending troops to Ukraine could risk nuclear war, Putin says. And we already saw day before yesterday what was being spoken by Macron. So it is a response to the French president saying that they will not stop at anything. They will defeat Russia, and in that they might even send their troops to Ukraine. So that's your first topic. Second, is NATO membership in the cards for Ukraine? Now with the fact that Sweden has joined NATO, are we going to see some more expansion? So we will look into the historical right from the time that Ukraine had shown its inclination to join the NATO, what all has happened, what has happened in the war, all that we shall see here. Third, first technical team from India arrives in Maldives. Now we have already studied Maldives many times, and last month we had seen that the Indian government had agreed with the Maldivian government that will replace the team which is there to manage the helicopters, etc. And now we are going to do that. In fact, our technical team has reached over there. Fourth, yesterday there was a big article on this because you all know the last day of the February month every year is celebrated as the Rare Disease Day. National Rare Disease Day, and now today again another article on that. Despite policy backing and funding, care for rare diseases not optimal. Very big article. We'll try to summarize this and look all the important facts here. Number fifth, experts suggest ASHA-like cadre for mental health care. Now, see, basically here in this article you will see that some experts are saying specifically in South India, can we start using ASHA or the ASHA cadre for mental health care, or if not them, a separate cadre, can it be made for taking care of the mental health? The sixth topic, Lancet study shows obesity rates going up across world, and some data out of this will help you in your essays on health or even in your questions on health, because obesity is a big challenge for the whole country. In fact, for the world, as the Lancet study shows. Seventh, Cabinet okay 75,000 crore free electricity solar scheme. Last month only we spoke a lot about this, and now the Cabinet has told how much is they going to give for this, and Hindu is raising some questions. What was initially spoken, what now is being spoken is slightly different. The eighth topic, end pact with cookies or groups, Manipur Assembly tells Center. Now this is a news that has been dominating our newspaper analysis for last many months, and Manipur government has again asked the center to take some concrete steps and end the pact with cookies or groups. Ninth, Manipur police accuse radical outfit of extortion assault. Now, never before what had happened has recently happened. A very senior officer of police was targeted, kidnapped, beaten by the radical outfit. And for the first time, the police is coming out and saying that they are not doing the work, what they say to do. 10th and the last one, SC dismisses Vedanta Sterlite's petition to reopen copper plant. Now, very old news which has been dominating for more than a decade now. And again, maybe finally we see the last chapter of this saga. These 10 are for the mains. the 4-1 for the prelims. India's leopard population rises to this, MP on top. Very good news coming from one place, and we shall see some states which are doing good, some states who have not done that good, and why is the population going up, and wherever it is going down, why it is going down. Number 2, Jedesai names a newly discovered sea slug after President Murmu. Now again for prelims, we shall see what is the name, where it is found, and is it a tropical or it's a temperate mammal, plant, animal, what exactly it is. Third, rhythmic rituals, so we'll see here Thayam. And the lastly, an article of almost 50 years ago is again, or it was coming in today's newspaper, so we shall see that also, where we shall mainly focus on one person, Y.B. Chauhan. Now, those who are from Maharashtra might be knowing him. Those who are not from Maharashtra might have heard about him. So whatever, wherever you are, can you comment right now in the comment box? What do you know about him? Though I'll be telling you about him slightly in the last part of today's discussion. So these are the 14 topics. Let's start. The first topic, page 17. West sending troops to Ukraine could risk nuclear war. This is the statement of Putin. So Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, what exactly he says? He is saying Western leaders are reckless. They are irresponsible. He is saying, is declaring that West should keep in mind that they have, that means Russia has those weapons that can strike targets in their territory. That means it can reach Western world. So clearly, you can understand, Putin is saying, if you do anything like this, what do you do? That means if the Western countries, they send their, I would say, your troops to the Ukraine to fight the war, he is very clear that this would start a nuclear conflict, and he is saying the West would be responsible for this. Now, in this context, there is subcontext that Mr. Putin is going to fight the election for the president's post next month. That is, the elections are going to happen here. And everybody knows, more or less, he is going to win this. He is going to win. There is no doubt about this particular fact. So basically this, I would say this response of Mr. Putin is, as I said, to the statement of Mr. Macron. Now those who have not attended previous day's discussion, you all can see, day before yesterday, 28th February, EU vary as Macron hints at Western troops in in Ukraine. So this response of Putin is in response to the statement given by Mr. Macron, French president. Now, in this article, there is also a mention, we remember the fate of those who sent their troop contingents to the territory of our country, the Russian leader said in apparent allusion to the failed invasions by Napoleon and Hitler. So apart from saying that if there is a nuclear weapon that he might use which would have tragic consequences, Putin is also referring to the past. He is saying to the Western countries, do not dare to attack Russia. In the past, people who have attacked Russia, they have paid heavy prices for that. And two names are given, Napoleon and Hitler. Now, both of these names you study in your world history. For those who know, Napoleon, the French ruler, had attacked Russia in 1812. In world history, either you study it as your Russian campaign or, as the Russians call it, patriotic war. Now, for those who do not know or do not have an idea, Napoleon, who is the French king, had attacked Russia because he wanted Russia to comply with the continental blockade that he had done of United Kingdom. Now, those who have studied even your, I would say, modern also. If right now you have only studied modern history, under the Charter Act of 1813, we study that the continental system of Napoleon and the idea of laissez-faire had contributed to the Charter Act. Of course, we study it in a big manner in your world history. Now, historians are unanimous that this attack was a focal point in military history, because within 6 months, almost 10 lakh soldiers and civilians had died in this war, which was started by Napoleon. So Napoleon had faced a massive defeat. Another person whom he is referring is Hitler. Now you all study in World War II, in the topic World War II, that Hitler, who had initially a defensive pact signed with Germany, later had done a operation, named Barbarossa. Under this, the erstwhile Soviet Union was attacked by Nazi Germany and their allies. This attack was done on 22nd June 1941, and some historians say this is the largest land offensive as far as the human history is concerned, where almost 1 crore combatants were taking part. And again, you all must have studied, or you would study in World War II, that this Operation Barbarossa had also failed, and this reversed the fortunes of Nazi Germany. So you all can understand, Mr. Putin is giving subtle hints. Do not try to attack Russia. What has happened in the past can get repeated again in the future. Do not dare to do this. That's your first article for the day. Second article, and this is something which we had done on 28th, so leaving it. Second article for the day is NATO membership in the cards for Ukraine? Now, see here how I'm going to teach you, because under this article written by G. Subramaniam, there is an introduction part. Of course, there is a first question. There is the second question. There is the third question. So, the first part, if you see here, the introduction is basically, what is the story so far? Now, you all know, this February, I have seen 2 years of Russian aggression on Ukraine. Exactly 2 years. Now, it's more than 2 years. And recently, Jens Stoltenberg, who is the Secretary General of the NATO, has clearly showed, or he has been very emphatic, that ultimately Kyiv, what is Kyiv? Capital of Ukraine. Ultimately, Kyiv is going to join the military bloc. Though in the write-up, the writer is saying, however, that question appears unlikely to elicit consensus. Now, you all know. Recently, for example, we spoke a few days ago, Sweden became the latest member to join NATO. What is NATO? North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Now, there only I told you that Sweden's bid had been held for more than a year because certain countries had not given permission. So in NATO, what happens is everybody's permission has to be accepted or has to be given. Then only a new member will come. So now, if Ukraine has to become a member of NATO, all the existing members of NATO must give their consensus to that. And there are doubts with regards to that. Many people are not sure that whether the time has come that Ukraine should be a part of NATO. So that's your first thing that the writer has written in the first paragraph. The second paragraph, the writer is asking, what was the reason for Russian invasion? Now, if you all remember, and let me show you, this is the news article which I did on 27th February. Before that also I have done. I have shown you the members of NATO and the recent members being, of course, Sweden, and before that, Finland. Now, what has happened is, if you see, then also I told you that initially these members were there. For those who do not know, these are 12. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and initially 12 members. Now from 12 they have become 32. And if you look, initial set of members were mostly this side. Slowly and slowly, NATO has been moving to the eastern side. And now NATO has got the countries which were erstwhile members of USSR. For example, let's take 3 examples: Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. So from 2008 onwards only, Putin was very, very unhappy. Why was he unhappy? Because NATO had said that they would accept Georgia as well as Ukraine in this bloc. Now you all can see, if you don't have idea, here is your Georgia, this portion, and this is your Ukraine. These are also erstwhile nations of USSR. So Putin that year only, even though NATO never said that when will they admit them, Putin became angry and ordered that my tanks would go in Georgia. That is his tanks, not mine. And he attacked Georgia in that year. Within months, tanks had rolled in Tbilisi. Tbilisi is basically your capital of Georgia. Now, later, you all must have studied that in 2014, Moscow had even attacked Crimean Peninsula. For those who do not have idea about the Crimean Peninsula, you all can see, I have brought this map for you. Here is your Russia, here is your Ukraine, just below this portion, the reddish portion, is your Crimean Peninsula. So that he had acquired in 2014, and 2 years ago launched a full-fledged war on Ukraine. Now, as I have already said, if Ukraine is admitted as far as this NATO is concerned, Article 15 would start. Now, what is this article? Please understand, we have studied this earlier also. Article 5, I said 15, sorry, Article 5 of NATO is basically a mutual defense provision. What is this provision? Under this, attack on one country is basically an attack on everyone. So, from the view of your Ukraine, can be nothing better than they becoming a part of NATO. Because let me tell you, and this is something that you study in Cold War, when Soviet Union was disintegrating, you all know Soviet Union had their nuclear weapons. So Soviet Union broke into 15 countries. So all the 15 nations, even Ukraine, they all had given up their nuclear arsenal. Because everyone think nuclear weapons after the breaking of Soviet Union, if it would have gone to all the 15 nations, it would have been really disastrous for the world. So all the nations apart from Russia, they agreed that they will leave up their nuclear arsenals. Ukraine also did the same. And in return, Ukraine was promised by US and UK that, see, we will give you security guarantees, you don't worry, we are there to help you. So invariably, Ukraine is, now that, see, we have been attacked, our nuclear arsenals also gone, so you should take us in NATO, and that way, once this Article 5 would be imposed, we would be safe again. That's the second part. Third part is, what exactly is the status now? Now, you all know this war is going on for almost 2 years. And there is, I would say, some amount of fatigue that is coming. The way the Western powers were initially supporting Ukraine and they were like, we will support you till the end. That shift, there is a shift that's happening here. Both in US as well as EU. I'll tell you what are the reasons for them. One reason which you all can understand, that Palestine, Israel also came. So suddenly there was another clash that came, and that's why the Ukraine thing went on the back burner. Other thing is, you all can understand, both these, that is US and EU, have been continuously been supporting Ukraine for a very long period of time through money, material, etc. But as I said, because of this fatigue, recently, if Ukraine requires 6,000 rounds of artillery shells on a daily basis, they are hardly getting 2,000. 1/3 of what they require to fight Russia. And you all know this Russia and this Ukraine front line is almost of 1500 kilometers. Now you can understand the Ukrainian government is very clear. We are not getting the sort of support that we should get to thwart Russia. Even though, let me tell you this also, Russia also has lost a lot. They have almost seen 2 lakh deaths plus injuries. But because Ukraine is not getting the sort of support that it expects from the Western nation, what is happening is that in the last few months, Ukraine, first of all, had to withdraw from strategic city of Avdiivka. And this was the second major success of Russians after they had captured the Bakhmut city. So clearly, if you look at this status of the war, Ukraine is finding it tough against Russia. Now, let me come to one by one why US and why EU are having a problem. US is having a problem because you can understand they are giving some $60 billion aid to Ukraine. But this bill is stuck in US Parliament. US Congress is not ready to pass it. Why? Because there, the Republican Party, they dominate this House of Representatives. You all know this November in US there are elections going on, and Republican Party candidate is Mr. Donald Trump. So he has basically convinced the hardliner Republicans that this is basically a war of Europe, and in this war Europe should take full responsibility of their problems. And when they are working with US, they should be working as a equal partner. They cannot, shift their problems only on what? US. Though, let me tell you, US has been the largest contributor to this war effort of Ukraine. And even now they want to contribute by this. But their domestic politics is not helping them. Now, what is the problem with EU? If you all remember, I had covered an article. You can see on 2nd February, almost around, if you see 28 days ago, EU agrees on new 50 billion relief package for Ukraine. Again, Hungary was not allowing it, but later they also allowed it. Now, the problem here is that bloc, as you can see here, has overcome this hurdle from Hungary, and they are going to provide this money over the next 4 years. But the problem is that governments, they are now looking for where to fund these monies, specifically the 12 billion euro that European Peace Facility EPF had established to support Ukraine's war effort. Because, as I said, fatigue, the country is going in recession, the economy is not doing well. On top of that, there being a war that's going on for last 2 years. How do they cater to that? And Germany, on top of that, is insisting that, see, we are providing weapons to Ukraine. So our efforts should not be seen only in terms of euro, that is money, but also look into the contribution that we are doing here. But the other nations are saying if you start adding that, our contributions, the funds volume would come down. So this is the problem that is happening. Now, all of you, this is your EU, a 27 nation bloc, a major absentee here being United Kingdom. Again, on 24th February also I had taught you this. Last thing, what is the road ahead? Very, very tough times for Ukraine. Why tough times? Because in November, if Mr. Donald Trump comes back to power, you can see here, it's going to be hard for Ukraine. I've already said next month, Putin is going to, and I should not say next month because we have come to 1st March. So this month, Putin is going to be elected again. He'll become the president. Elections, there are sham elections. Other than this, nobody has yet brought this full NATO membership on table. And that's why presently the NATO, what they have done for your Ukraine is that they have formalized some mechanisms for cooperation that would empower Kyiv to have emergency meetings and ensure greater participation. So all this is going on. Your second topic is done. Let me tell you one thing, everyone. See here. I just wanted to show you this map also. Ukraine, Moldova, Georgia. All these earlier parts of USSR, they all are presently having issues with Russia, because Russia in the last few years has either attacked them or has backed the separatists in these areas, and they all want to become the members of NATO in order to safeguard themselves. Moving ahead to the third topic, which is a very old topic going on for a very long period of time. You can see here the image is advanced light helicopter that India had provided to Mali. Now, to operate these helicopters and to do some work, India had kept some 88 military personnels in Maldives. Now, you all know the recently conducted elections in Maldives got a new president for them. Byjus has become the president, and he came on the plank of India out. From the very first day, he was saying that he will not allow these military personnels to remain in Maldives. Now, you know, last month there was a lot of issues between India and Maldives, but finally there was a compromise between the governments of Mr. Modi and Mr. Byjus. Under this, what we have done is we have said that to operate these helicopters, the military personnels would be replaced by new set of personnels. Now, according to this article written by Suhasini Heather, this is a step down from the last, I would say, position of India, because New Delhi had refused to take out its troops even in 2018, when the former president Abdullah Yameen had demanded the same thing, removal of Indian military personnels. He had even said that he would not extend their visas. Later, you all know, Amin got defeated and Ibrahim Soli had become the president. His relations with India was good and he never demanded that. Issue went in the backdrop. But again, Byjus came in November 2023 on the plank of India out, and after coming, he said he wants the military personnel to be replaced or sent out. Under the compromise between both the countries, we fixed a March 10th deadline. Under that, the first set of these military personnel had to be replaced. They had to be changed here. So clearly, it seems that both the sides, they had come to some sort of compromise, a compromise that would be workable, a compromise that would have a mutually acceptable solution. So, as you all know, we are running 3 platforms over there. From one, before 10th March, our people would be replaced, and the next 2 platforms from there, the people would be replaced by May 10th. So our ministry had clearly said we will replace the military personnel with competent technical personnel. Though let me make one thing very clear, the ministries did not say whether these personnel will again be civil or military. So on this issue, for the past few months, the India-Maldives relations have been very, very strained. Maldives had downgraded their presence in the Indian Ocean Conference, which we have studied, had taken place in Perth. Similarly, they had skipped a very important conference in Mauritius, which was for the Colombo Security Dialogue. But now it appears that both the sides, they are trying to resolve that issue, and under this, let me tell you, in the past few days, we conducted Dosti 16. What is Dosti 16? Dosti 16 is a trilateral maritime exercise conducted between India, Sri Lanka and Maldives. So it seems that there is the ties are becoming better when it comes to both India as well as Maldives in the past few days. Moving ahead to the fourth topic, you all can see on 3rd February we had discussed this military personal issues also. Moving to the fourth topic, page 22, despite policy backing and funding, care for rare diseases not optimal, written by Ramya Kannan. Yesterday also there was a big article written by Mr. Shashi Tharoor and one more gentleman. If you all see, if you look at the crux of this, number one, you have to understand what exactly is a rare disease. Now, if any one of you do not understand that, a rare disease is any disease that is loosely defined as occurring infrequently. That means it does not happen very, very frequently as far as the population is concerned, and thus a rare disease may vary from nation to nation. That's why I'll show you. For example, in India, how do we categorize the rare disease is very different from how it is categorized in the world. For example, in US or European Union, everywhere the definition of a rare disease is slightly different. It depends on how many people are affected in the overall population. So, under this article, National Policy on Rare Disease, which was issued in March 2021, is being applauded. That for the last many years, nothing of this sort had been done, but finally, the government took this step. Similarly, the policy also factors in ways to lower the cost of treatment, boost indigenous research, National Hospital-based Registry of Rare Disease, and the formation of Nidan Kendras. So if you all see here, let me tell you what all you should remember. First of all, always remember that policy has been formulated in March 2021. As you can understand, these are rare diseases. So invariably, in treating them, the burden, the expenditure would be very, very high. So the whole idea of this policy is to bring down the cost of the treatment. And you all can understand, in order to bring down the cost, you need to do more research on that. So the other thing is boost indigenous research. Now, for all this, under this policy, they have created a national hospital-based registry of rare diseases. Because if you have data, you can define how many people are affected by a particular type of rare disease. What is the extent of problem as far as India is concerned? And accordingly, because everything is decided by data, you would decide how much money, how much funding should be done for a particular type of rare disease. So, if anyone has this query in your mind that why are we talking about this so much last day also, today also, remember always the last day of February is always celebrated as the World Rare Disease Day. So this year it was 29th February, normally it is 28th February. Now, under this policy, the third point that is spoken is that let us have Nidan Kendras. Now, both these are Hindi words. Kendra, center, Nidan, where a solution can be given. So if if somebody has a rare disease, they can come to these Nidan Kendras, where there would be screening as well as prevention of these diseases that are going on or that has affected anyone. Now, along with this, they have also talked about centers of excellence. So tertiary health facilities, even the secondary plus tertiary health facilities would be provided here. Now, all of you, think about this. As I've already explained rare disease, I have already explained policies formed. Under policy, the twin objectives are these. What all have been done, I told you. Now, think about this. This policy is now almost 3 years old. We should see is the policy working efficiently or not? That's the big thing you have to understand. We have to check the efficiency of this policy. And along with that, as I showed in the next two slides, we need to understand what exactly is a rare disease in India and what exactly is a rare disease in other countries. So for example, if you all see here, in India, it is expected or it is thought that there are around 7,000 to 8,000 rare diseases. But hardly less than 5% have got therapies which are available to treat them. Overall, they are saying, as a whole, if you see these rare diseases, they affect almost 1/5 of India's populations. This is extrapolations have indicated. So you don't have exact data, but based on extrapolations, you can make this guess. Now, as I said, this number in the next slide for EU, US will vary. So even your WHO says that, see, if you are saying a disease is rare disease, it has to be something like a lifelong disease or disorder that is less than 1 per 1,000 people. That's the WHO's number. If you look at US, they define it that a disease that affects less than 2 lakh patients in the country, that is 6.4 out of 10,000. Similarly, European Union says less than 5 in 10,000. India currently does not have a standard definition, but then if you see Organization of Rare Diseases in India, they suggest we should also go if 1 people in 5,000 are getting affected by this. This is the number that they are saying. So I would suggest hardly try to remember 1 or 2 facts out of this. Forget EU or US, one of them, and remember for India. Now, as I said, what about the efficiency? So in 2022 only, May, government said we will allocate 50 lakh per patient for the treatment of all these diseases. Now, many of you would think it's a big number, but in many cases, let me tell you, here only 50 lakh also appears to be less. And Dr. Shashi Tharoor recently had asked a question, and when he raised this question in Lok Sabha during the budget session, the answer that came out of from the government was that in these rare diseases, the utilization as far as the last 3 years is disappointing. How I am calling it disappointing? This is the government's data. Government's data says, and please understand, the health ministry's data it is. They gave this answer. They said in the last 3 years, they gave 109 crore funding. But out of these 109, only 53 crore were utilized. That means if you look, less than 50% was utilized. Now, some of you might think, oh, maybe the patients are not there. But the problem is there are patients, and yet the money is not being utilized. That clearly shows that the precious lives are being lost because of the no treatment. Apart from this, if you all remember, I just now said that there are centers of excellence. So overall in India, there are 11 centers of excellence. And out of that, for 11, the data was provided. Here also it was found that only 3 COEs utilized more than 90% of the funds allocated to them, and only 1 had slightly less than 90. So you can clearly see rest 8, 1 we don't have the data, and at least 7 the utilization was very, very less. So you all can understand one big problem here is that this underutilization of the money. Because you have to understand, these are rare diseases, and the people who suffer from them, they need, money sometimes in big number. That's why I said there are 10 cases in India where the people have already exhausted the 50 lakh limit, and yet they need more money. But as the government has already sanctioned only 50 lakh, and not criticizing the government. 50 lakh in itself per patient appears to be a very big number. But because there is a rule that only 50 lakh will be utilized, so those who want more money, they are not getting that particular sort of money. So you have to understand, when it comes to rare disease, money is critical. Another aspect that is very critical is the time factor. If you do not give the money on time, that money is useless, that cannot be used. So these all are certain points that we have to remember. Apart from that, in this article, you can see here, I have written all those, because many people want everything in the written format. So whatever I just now explained is written here. How has been the money utilized, disappointing, this much, given, this much only used, so this much not used, the 12 centers of excellence, all that point is written over here. Last thing, guys, under this, there is one part which says that we should, go for genetic testing for these rare diseases. For that, there can be prenatal scans, and in the public health centers or everywhere this could be done. Similarly, the doctors like gynecologists, now gynecologists or even pediatricians, they are much more aware about these rare diseases, and these people should start looking at birth defects, doing the gene testing and all those things. So all this is mentioned in this article. That's more than sufficient. I don't think there should be anything more than that which should be required for this. Now on the same page there was another article, and this time it's about mental health. Now page 22, you can see Schizophrenia Research Foundation started a Manam Inidu. Please remember this word. What exactly is? It's a program in which women from self-help groups were trained in the basic principles of mental health and counseling. So if they come across person with mild symptoms, they take them to a counselor or to the DMHP. Now let me tell you, what exactly is this article saying? This article is saying, experts are saying that we should have a ASHA-like cadre. Now you all know what is ASHA, accredited social health activists. Now these ASHAs, they have done stupendous work in our country. Now in this article what they are saying is, if you look at South India, specifically they are pointing out that if you look at South India, the ASHAs, their role could be now changed. Now you all will say, why should this happen in South India? The reason for that is, they are saying that the problems that happen like maternal, newborn, child care or child health, these were the major concerns of the ASHAs. But in South India now, these no longer dominate the scene. So in this article, one point they are raising is, for example, let's say Tamil Nadu. Now in Tamil Nadu, for example, let's say we do not require ASHAs for maternal and child health. Similarly, maybe not required in Kerala, maybe not required in Karnataka. So can we train these ASHAs into now community health workers who would support those people who have been discharged from a psychiatric facility? If not done to the ASHAs, if it cannot be done to the ASHAs, the authors are also saying, think about a separate cadre. Because see, everyone, this is an assumption that the cadre spelling is wrong. This is an assumption that this write-up has got, that maybe ASHAs may not be that much required now in these areas. But let us train in some other manner. But then the writer, in the last lines, they have clearly said one thing, that see, we do not want to overburden them. They are already doing a lot than they should do. We are not trying to overburden them. If we can train them, it's better. If not, we can go for another, I would say, cadre type or cadre like ASHAs who would take care of this mental health. And this is something which is very, very important. because mental health a lot of times is neglected, but then it's something that affects a large population of our country. So that's the gist of this particular article. Moving ahead. Now another, obesity. Now I will tell you, leave this article, only read 1 or 2 points. Number one, which you all can understand, obesity in the world is continuously increasing. That's a point that is made out of this. This is a study done by Lancet. They have done a study comparing the data of 1990 to 2022. And their study has come out with certain findings. Just a second. I have the page. So in there, they are saying, obesity rates among children and adolescents have increased 4 times in the last 32 years. In adults, it has gone more than double. Similarly, along with obesity, there is increase in the underweights also. And obesity has become the most common form of malnutrition in most of the countries. And if you speak about India, obesity as well as underweight, they both continue to exist. So if you see here, I'll give you some data. These are the crux, nothing more than this is required. But then if you remember, for example, according to this study, more than 1 billion people, whether they are adults, whether they are children, or whether they are adolescents, they are now obese. If you break this number, they say 159 children and adolescents, 879 million adults, they were obese in 2022. Obesity is one problem. Another problem they are saying is malnutrition. This is also a big problem. So overall, Lancet had done this study in more than 190 countries using 1,500 researchers, and they analyzed the weight and the height of almost 220 million people having the age of 5 years or plus. And based on that, the BMIs, those who do not know the full form of BMIs, body mass index, they have come to a conclusion that this has only gone ahead, has gone and become a big menace. As far as India is concerned, we have already said, you can see in the last line, I have clearly said, in India, both obesity as well as underweight, they have continued to coexist. So in this it says, if you look at girls, if you look at boys, and let's keep it 1990 and 2022. Lancet paper says in 1990, in girls, only 0.1% girls, they were obese. Now, 3.1% of the girls are obese. Similarly, boys, 0.1% were obese. Now, 3.9% boys are obese. Similarly, Lancet says if you look at the numbers of adults, and again, women and men, again, the data is 1990 to 2022. Women, the numbers from 1.2% has gone to, 9.8%. And for men, 0.5% has gone to 5.4%. If you can remember this data, it's okay. If you do not remember, just make in your mind number of times this has happened. So for example, 1.2 has gone to 9.8. I'll remember that when it comes to, let's say, women, the obesity has become 8 times percentage wise. Similarly for men, it has become almost 11 times. But then chances are women would be much more obese than men. On the other hand, the boys would be much more obese than the girls, as you can see here. So these are some data which can help us in writing good answers. Moving ahead for the 6th topic. Sixth topic is Cabinet OK 75,000 crore free electricity solar scheme. You all know this was an announcement made in the month of January by the Honorable Prime Minister. In the interim budget, Honorable Finance Minister Madam Nirmala Sitharaman also talked about that. And last month, many times, for example, 3rd February only, you can see Centre likely to foot bill for the PM rooftop solar scheme. Now, they have come up with the exact, the money that would be given here. So this plan is of around 75,000 crores. What is this package? Package is PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana. Under this, rooftop solar installations would be promoted. 300 units would be given free electricity, or 300 units of free electricity per month would be given to 1 crore households. Now, this is the immediate crux. Now, in this article, the writers have mentioned immediately it was not clear that how 1 crore households would get free electricity. But then later in a press release, the government has made very clear that the central government will fund 60% of the cost of if 2 kilowatt systems are being installed. If this 2 kilowatts go up to 3, center would give 40% of the cost. If you compare this, according to this article, it says that for 1 kilowatt system, subsidy comes out to be 30,000. For till 2 kilowatt system, the subsidy comes out to be 60,000. Up to 3, the number comes out to be 78,000. Remember, it is only till here. Beyond this, no subsidy. Now in this, they have also mentioned how can this be achieved. You can see applying for subsidy and repaying loans. There are 2 more parts of this article. So overall, if you don't remember the process also, it's okay. But then let me tell you that the first step will be any households will have to apply for subsidy. Now, where will you apply for this subsidy? They will create a portal, that's your central portal. There you can select a vendor who will install this rooftop solar system. Now, this portal will help you in making your decisions with regards to relevant information, that what should be the size, benefit, the calculations of the benefit, the vendor rating, everything would be given to you on this portal. For the remaining expenditures, houses can take interests, or can take, the interest, free low interest product plans. Again, up to 3 kilowatt. Now in this article, the Hindu clearly says that initially on 3rd February it was explained, and then the Minister for Energy, Mr. R.K. Singh, when he had explained it, this was slightly different from what it is being communicated right now. So overall, this has been spoken in this article. Again, an old article has been spoken many times. Moving ahead, Manipur Assembly has passed a resolution urging the union government to abrogate the suspension of operations pact with Kuki-Zo insurgent groups in effect since 2008. Now the thing is, yesterday when the Manipur Assembly passed this thing, the 10 MLAs who belong to this group, the Kuki-Zo Hamar groups, they were not present when this assembly had passed this resolution. Now if you go back and you can see clearly, in 2008, this agreement was signed. Now why it was signed? Because in the 1990s, in Manipur, a lot of Kuki insurgency had began. Why did it begin? Because you all know Kukis are one ethnic group, and in those days they had clashed with the Nagas of Manipur. So Kukis had started to arm themselves against the Nagas' aggression. Later, the union governments in 2008, they signed an agreement with 24 insurgent groups. In this, some of them were led by United People's Front, another were led by Kuki National Organization. And This was a tripartite agreement where this one side were these insurgent groups, the other side was Union Home Ministry, and the third was your government of Manipur. Now, why is it in news? Because every year in February, this is, extended for one more year. So, yeah, last day, that is 29th February, Thursday, was the day for annual extension. Otherwise, this pact lapses. No clarity whether it has been extended or not till now. But then, as you can see, the Manipur's government, they are very clear that, see, this should be not done. So if any one of you, first of all, you have to understand here that what exactly is this suspension of operations. So under this suspensions of operations, let's say what the cookies or cookie insurgent groups had to do and what exactly the government of India as well as the Manipur government had to do. So under this, there was a joint monetary group that was to look at the implementation of this pact. Once this pact was there, security agencies, whether they were state agencies or they were central agencies, they could not launch any operations against the underground groups. At the same time, you all have to understand, this is not working. Okay. Everyone, this is what we had to do. What about these insurgents? UPF, KNO, they all had to accept the Constitution of India. They had to accept the laws of the land. And very, very important, they had to accept the territorial integrity of Manipur. They could not do anything that harms the territorial integrity of Manipur. They could not do extortions. They could not do, atrocities. They were given arms, but those arms were given only to protect their camps and protect their leaders. Apart from that, they would not have the arms. So again, this news will dominate our scene for the next few days. Let us see what exactly the central government does. But then in Manipur only, there is another incident that happened. And you can see Manipur police accuse radical outfit of extortion and assault. Now, what is the name of this radical outfit? Arambai Tengol. Please remember this name. This is a group of the Metis. They are also one of the groups here, as you all must have studied. Now, what has happened is, for the first time, please understand, first time officially there is a confirmation that this group, which is basically now become a radical Metis group, is indulging in anti-social activities. What activities? Like assaulting civilians, snatching vehicles from public and government officials, and even extortion. So all this is being said for the first time. Now suddenly you all think the clashes which are going on since May 3rd, 2023, why suddenly now this is being said that this group is acting like this? Reason for that is, recently 2 days ago, they kidnapped a very senior police officer and he was beaten. It's mentioned somewhere that he was beaten. He was after being kidnapped. So you can see it's written, the name of the officer was Additional Superintendent of Police M. Amit Singh, attacked, abducted by Arambai Tengol members. And why was he attacked, arrested? Because one of the unit chiefs was arrested who belonged to this group, and they had taken 2 jeeps. So you don't have to remember anything. What you have to remember is what and who exactly is this group. You can see, and from here I'll write Arambai Tengol as 80. Since 2020, this group is active and initially acting as a cultural group. Rather, later, they started turning into a radical organization. Very soon, a lot of Metis youth, they have continuously joined this. Many commentators are saying the success of this group is mainly because they have got the political patronage right at the top. I'll not take the names, but then political patronage has been given, and even now this group is acting against the same political patrons also. For example, in one of the cases, they are acting on war on drugs campaign, which the Honorable Chief Minister of Manipur is carrying out. They are working against that also. Now, some of you who might be interested in this picture, please understand, most of the members of this group, they wear this sort of t-shirt, or this insignia is on their t-shirts. You can see here, let me change, this red insignia has got 3 horses, you can see, and on that there are 3 people who are about to charge for a battle. So all 3 different types of weapons they have, and they are about to charge for battles. So this is the insignia that they use, and now clearly when they are attacking the policemen and all, most probably the government will take them very, very seriously and would try to curb them. Unfortunately, in the last few years, they have become very, very strong, and some people also say they have got almost around 50,000 people supporting them. So these numbers have only quadrupled from the early days. So the fact that even the senior policemen like Amit Singh, who is an ASP, being kidnapped, abducted, all this is not looking good. Another unfortunate aspect which is clearly mentioned in this article is that one of the police constable, a head constable, he was identified as A. Kanan Singh. He had helped this cadre in a big manner, and he has been suspended for gross misconduct. So the problem is, clearly what seems to happen or seems to be visible is that even the policemen, they have been influenced by these radical outfits, and they are supporting them considering their own ethnicities, which is unfortunate, should not have happened in either police or in army or in the paramilitary forces. Let us move to the 10th article. What is the 10th article? You all can see Supreme Court has dismissed an appeal by Vedanta Sterlite to reopen its Thoothukudi copper plant. Where exactly it is? Here is in Tamil Nadu. This is the place where this Sterlite plant was there. Closed almost 6 years ago in 2018 on grounds of pollution. Yesterday, our Honorable Chief Justice of India, who was leading a 3-membered panel, Mr. D.Y. Chandrachud, he said, we never want to close an industry. It's never the first choice. But then the fact that these industries pollute, they violate, and they cause harm to the people, they have no other option but to close this. So please remember, the charges on them were regarding pollution, and clearly right to health of public is far more, I would not put this, far more important than the gains that come from industry. Now, this matter was being heard because earlier the Madras High Court had confirmed the decisions in 2018 to close this industry, and this has been, or this factory, and this has been again done. Guys, again I'm saying this, the government also, or sorry, the CGI also accepted that, see, it gives a lot of employment. But then there cannot be a case where the principles of sustainable development is not followed. Similarly, public trust should not be breached. And if all this is done, polluter must pay the fine. Now, this is a very old article. I remember when we used to study, we would study about this, that this is a matter from the early 2010s. Then the Madras High Court for the first time had ordered that shut this down. Later, this matter had gone to Supreme Court. Then the Supreme Court had said, let it continue, ask them to pay 100 crores as fine. Again, it went ahead, and even NGT gave a favorable ruling. They again started to work. But last time in 2018, there was violent protest that happened, and unfortunately, there happened the death of 14 innocent people in this protest. So this is a saga that's going on. Hopefully, this is the last that we had to see for this. So these were the 10 important topics for your mains. Apart from this, in your prelims, India's leopard population rises to this much, MP on top. I don't want you to remember the numbers. I just want you to remember this. Highest number of leopards you have in MP. Overall, the numbers have gone up by 8%, which is a very good number. Very good thing. This is the data from Environment Ministry. Highest number is MP, almost 4,000. 3 other states, Maharashtra, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, have more than 1,000 of this. Another thing, Uttarakhand has seen a big decline, and Arunachal, Assam and West Bengal have seen a big jump. Now guys, here are 2 things we have to understand. Number 1, this survey covered only 20 states of India and focused on 70% of the animals' expected habitat. Usually, their habitats are the same habitats that are for the tiger reserves or protected forest areas. Now the thing is, as you all know, tiger, they usually remain confined to their forest reserves. Leopards, they are much more adaptable, they keep on coming out, and that's why they have higher clashes. That's why there are a lot of deaths in conflicts. So, good thing is, because we are doing a lot of tiger conservation, the leopards are also getting continuously conserved. But then, some places, the numbers are going down, and that is mainly in states like Uttarakhand, which is a matter of concern. Another place where big jump has happened, but this article says that this is because of sampling artifact. What do you mean by sampling artifact? Sampling artifact means that the last time the way the numbers were collected were not that accurate. Very little systematic survey was done, very little cameras were used. This time we have given a much better numbers, and this is much more scientific. So just remember Madhya Pradesh, do remember the numbers are falling in state, and one state where the jump is mainly because of the sampling artifact. Other than that, clearly leopards much more, in India their numbers are higher, and seems to be that they are growing as far as India is concerned. Moving ahead, in the environment page, JED-SI names a newly discovered sea slug after President Murmu. So you can see here you have to just remember 2 things. Number 1, JED-SI has named a marine species. You can see sea slug, and this marine species is basically a sea slug having a ruby red spot. They have given the pictures of this, you can see here. Now from my view, please understand, the name clearly suggests Melanocalmes Draupadi. It clearly, you will not forget, or if it will come, you will clearly understand that it has been named after our Honorable President, Madam Murmu. But then, one thing that we have to understand is, where exactly has this been discovered? So this you should remember. For prelims, you should remember that in West Bengal and on the coast of Odisha, this has been discovered. These are very small invertebrates, only of around 7 millimeters, and they have been discovered here and named after our Honorable President. In this article, there is one more thing that is very important that you should remember, that comes from your last paragraph here. In this article, it is also mentioned that these invertebrates are distributed in temperate regions of Indo-Pacific. But then three species are truly tropical areas. So in the last, you can see everyone. Just give me a second. You all can see, you can read here. According to JSI, the species of this group are generally distributed in temperate regions of the Indo-Pacific, but 3 species are tropical distributed. So tomorrow in prelims, you should remember these invertebrates can be found in both tropical region as well as in temperate region. Last thing you should remember is, names you don't have to remember. You can see there is a Papilata, which is there in Gulf of Thailand. Another is Bengalinus in Bengal and Odisha coast. And this is the third present species which has been named after Madam President. So do remember it's found both in tropical as well as temperate. Next, from art and culture, there comes your Thayam. Now today you can see a picture is given. You can see this image. Thayam artists performing at the Chala Kadankottu Makkam Bhagavati temple in Kannur district on Thursday. So Thayam, what exactly it is? It is a Hindu religious ritual, mainly practiced in Kerala and some parts of Karnataka, and also known as Kaliyattam or Tira. I took out some information from Wikipedia. And here, other thing is, it's a very old tradition, almost 1,000 years old traditions. These Thayams, they are considered as a channel to the god, and thus people seek blessings from these Thayam. Thayams can be men, can be women who have attained divine status. Now, there are many types of Thayams. Some of them which are important are one after Vishnu, Vishnu Murti. That means they are incarnations of God Vishnu. Another is incarnation of God Yama, that is Gulikan. Then there are other Thayams also which you can read on your own, but then this much you should remember. And tell me if you have ever seen any movie on this. If you have ever seen, do comment in the comment box. Last article. 50 years ago, the article has come. The Union Finance Minister YB Chauhan today proposes additional taxation yielding a net amount of this much, 274.75. I'm not interested in that. I'm only interested in this man, YB Chauhan. I don't know how many of you know about him. When you study modern history, we teach him during Quit India movement. During Quit India movement, there were many underground governments that were formed. So for example, if you go to Balia, Chittu Pandey had formed. Similarly, if you go to Satara, it was YB Chauhan along with Nana Patil who had formed this. So many underground governments were formed. So he is an independence, activist, was involved in many other movements including Quit India. And after independence, he became the Chief Minister of Bombay, then became the Chief Minister Maharashtra. Later, after 1962 war, Jawaharlal Nehru had appointed him as the Minister of Defense, was the Minister of Defense during 1965 war, later became Minister of Home Affairs, Minister of Finance, which you could see clearly, Minister of External Affairs, and finally in the short-lived government of Chaudhry Charan Singh, he was also the Deputy Prime Minister of India. You all, I have a simple question to you with which I'll end my chapter, my discussion for the day. Can you name anyone, do you think, any person in our country till date from 1947 to 2023 has occupied, for a second, let's remove the Chief Minister of Maharashtra point, all these 5 positions? That anyone apart from YB Chauhan has been the Minister of Defense, Home Affairs, Finance, External Affairs, and even Deputy Prime Minister of India. Those who are from Maharashtra would be knowing him. And if you think there is no one, tell me, is there anyone who has occupied all these 4 positions? Comment. This is open. Comments are open. Let us look at the last two mains questions for the day. The mains questions are: NATO's eastward expansion is the main reason for conflict between Russia and Western countries. Analyze, 20 marker, 250 words. Explaining the main basics of Pradhan Mantri Surya Ghar Yojana. Apart from energy security, what are the other benefits to the economy? Clarify, 20 marks, 250 words. With that, we are done with this discussion. Do remember, tomorrow evening we are going to meet again at 6 p.m. You must have set the reminder where I'll tell you how to prepare for UPSC Civil Services Examination 2025. Apart from that, tomorrow we are beginning the new batch for our students in Delhi Center. Economics is going to start. Do join that if you want. And last but not the least, you can always enroll for our prelims test series. With that, we are done with this discussion for the day. I hope you enjoyed the session. Do like, do comment, and do tell me and do tell us about your experience. Again, let us meet tomorrow, same time, same place. Goodbye. Thank you.